Okay, last one for real, for real. Okay, this. All right, I'm warming up to this whole ideal. Okay, I'm warming up to this whole ideal about the world, America being converted to a homosexual land. Okay, so so all right, but there needs to be some more laws. We need some more laws for heterosexuals, for heterosexual protections. Okay, all right. So homosexual, if why? Because this deal is one sided. You know, how come homosexuals get to convert people to get to convert people to homosexuality? Okay, but yet, and you know, it's like this. They get to convert us, but we don't get to convert them. Okay, so in this sense, okay, when you're homosexual, right, you could be homosexual, you could be bisexual, you could be transgender. Like, you got all these other options. You know, when you're heterosexual, you only got one option. And if you ever, if you ever are like homosexual, you're not really hetero. If you're ever like homosexual for a time, you know, then you're always homosexual. You're always bisexual, or you're always a little bit. You never really get to be heterosexual again. Not for real. Like, you only get to be like honorary heterosexual, you know? Like, you could always be heterosexual, you could be bisexual, you can all that. But once you're one of those, you know, it's okay, you can go between all the different types, okay? But if you're heterosexual, you only got one shot. You know, if you blemish or stain your heterosexuality, that's it. You know, like, I've dated plenty of girls, right? And they'll ask you, you know, they'll always ask you, they'll say, are you gay? You know, they have to ask because they can't tell, okay? Because there's absolutely no difference. Like, if you're homosexual, like, there's no, you know, like, they say, well, all black people eat chicken, or they eat watermelon. Like, what do homosexuals eat? You know, you know, do they have any kind of, like, you know, homosexual diet? You know, there's nothing that you can really tell. If I wore a suit and all it is like, you know, unless I'm in the room, you know, unless you actually catch, you know, me hugged up with a man or something like that, you know, you can't really, there's no difference, you know. So there's absolutely no difference, but yet we're making these laws for this sexual activity, okay? Like, you know, like I say, you can't have homosexual babies, you know, just the mere fact of trying to have a baby makes you not homosexual. I mean, it makes you, you know, it makes you heterosexual. So you can always option into heterosexuality. But when you're heterosexual, you can never option out. you know, you get to, you know, homosexuals get to temporarily be homosexual. You know, once you're heterosexual, that's it. You know, I mean, I've dated women that will say, you know, are you gay? I say, no, I'm not gay. And they'll decide whether they believe you or not. Okay. and then they'll also say, well, this is the trick question. Well, have you ever had sex with a man? So it's like you never get, you know, you like, you know, you know, then you're never really a heterosexual again. You know, you get once you mark your thing, like, you know, now, and I don't think that's fair. You know, if somebody, you know, they get, if they say, well, you know, well, you know, I had a guy on this job, right? He always used to pretend he wasn't gay, right? But to me, he was really, he would annoy me with it because, he would lie about it, right? And he would say something that was so gay, That's where that phrase come out, And that should never be another, another heterosexual right. We should have the right to say that's so gay. Okay, just like that's black or that's you can say that kind. That's so hip hop. That's so ghetto. You can always say that, right? And people know what you're talking about. But now they try to say that like you shouldn't say that's so gay. Well, certain things are really gay. Like this guy used to say to me, he says, "Oh," I said, "Man, you gay." And he said, I didn't say it like that because we were on a job. But he would always do these gay things, right, around me. And I say, "Man, that's gay, man. It's not." I'd say, "You're gay, right?" And he'd say, "No." And then he would say something like, he would say like, "I wouldn't screw that woman. He says, "I've gotten drunk and wind up in the bed with men." And he's like, that kind of thing. He says, something about, one time he said something like, "Oh, even if I wound up in the bed, if I got drunk and wound up in the bed with men, I would never have sex with that woman." Something really gay like that, So, but the fact of the matter, my point is that, you can always option. When you're anything else, you can always option out. So we need no more heterosexual laws, okay? And one law should be that if you're homosexual, then you should not be able to just option out and have like sperm. When you go to a sperm bank, when a woman goes to the sperm bank, you should not be allowed certain heterosexual activity. If you have laws, you should have to always verify your your homosexuality. I mean, everybody else have a kind of form of identification, right? When you're black, that's like automatic ID. If you're going to be, when you become like a Satanist, like you get a chip, right? Even Satanists, everybody should have, some kind of, now I understand, that other people have, like you should have your own homosexual rules. And in the sense of, if we're talking to discrimination, right? Like, I'm just rambling, sorry. But, I mean, really, if you're a heterosexual, right? A heterosexual woman, a homosexual woman, why do homosexual women all of a sudden try to pretend like, they're men? I could never understand that. Why do homosexuals, they say they're homosexuals, okay, and they like the other guy, but then they try to be a woman and try to have a heterosexual lifestyle as a woman, That's not really homosexual, is it? It's not the same, right? So, now they keep expanding these laws. So now you can't be, homosexual. Now you got to have all the deviations. So now you got to come up with all these alphabets to say lesbian, lesbian, gay, lesbian, transgender, homosexual, heterosexual, hermaphrodite. And so now you got to go through all the alphabets, right, to just say gay, So the LGBTXYZ, community, you got to go through the ABC LMNOP community. I'm just saying, we got to kind of redefine this. Like, what really defines homosexual? Are you, so if you're homosexual, all right, if you're homosexual and you become a man, all right, if you're homosexual, no, usually lesbians don't have that option, right? That's another cheat. It's like if you're a lesbian, you know, a man gets to cut off his thing, right? But like, what if you're a lesbian? Do you cut off a finger and put it down? Cut off a thumb? You know, it's so many variables. I think we're better off just sticking with one consonant. You know, so at least give heterosexuals the benefit of the doubt, because at least you're standard. You're very standardized. It's like a file format. Well, this is the standard that everything else is judged by. For real. Because everything else have all these other options and they're so inconsistent. It's like, okay, transgenders can cut off their thing and then they can be a female and then have a heterosexual relationship again. God bless you all. Love you all, whatever you are.